Oh, yes. This is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. And we're live. Oh, man. I'm really stoked about this one. I'm so glad you're here. My guest today, huge respect for him. He is a demand gen leader, a marketing automation thought leader, certified Pardot. Hello, back in the day when it wasn't even around. One of the OG Pardot pros. Just had a baby 2 weeks ago. We're going to talk about that. Previously was the marketing automation practice lead at Magnet 360, and now the entrepreneur. He's the co-founder and president of InStereo. Adam Post, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, it's so good to chat with you, and I know we got you out. You just had a kid the other day, so yeah, maybe this is a nice little break for you.
It's been a whirlwind of a few weeks, that's for sure.
Man. So the theme for today, before we get into all that craziness about having kids and whatnot, we're going to talk marketing. We're going to talk marketing strategy, marketing automation, what it takes to make it successful. Let's talk about the buyer, getting in their heads and then sort of translating that into technology. So I have this for you here. It's heavy. This is Thor's hammer. So there you go.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm worthy, but well.
No, you're worthy. Right now you are. So take that hammer and smash something. Smash some bogus marketing strategy or myth or what kind of silly stuff you hear. Maybe it triggers you. You hear this stuff, you're like, guys, it is not the case. What are you hearing out there?
Yeah, man, I've got a couple. I've got one that we've been talking about for a little while, and I heard a brand new one a few weeks ago at the Sales Loft Rainmaker conference that I just absolutely love. So
okay, tell me about it.
They're interconnected. So the first is this notion that the buyer is in control, right? In the world of sales and marketing lately, the past few years, it's been the buyer's in control. You have to do what the buyer wants. You have to align with what the buyer wants. And it's true to a degree. And where people kind of take that guidance and interpret it as law, right? That isn't necessarily how you should operate. Yes, the buyer is in control, but it's still up to the seller, right? Whether it be a sales organization, a marketing organization, the brand itself must still guide the buyer through the journey and help to anticipate that buyer's needs and wants and lead them down a path that provides value to the buyer. Right? We can't just be loosey-goosey, the buyer's in control, do whatever the buyer wants, respond to every inquiry, give them everything, right? Because it doesn't necessarily work that way, and that's not a scalable model. Right? So the more that we can anticipate those buyer needs, lead them down paths, then we can help to enable them and guide them as they're in control of their own destiny, even though they may not necessarily realize that they're being guided down the path.
I like that. It's like taking an active role. Enough of this like passive marketing, because you hear it in sales training. I mean, sometimes we need to put down our swords, stop fighting with sales just long enough to learn something from them. You're in sales training, and it sounds like Rainmaker. Hey, yeah, you need to control your buyer. Don't let them just go crazy on you. They just meet you and they're asking for references. What's going on? Like, stop. Exactly. And so marketing can take a page from that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so kind of in a similar light, the new one that I heard a few weeks ago was from Danny Meyer, who was a keynote speaker at the Rainmaker conference a few weeks ago. For those that don't know Danny Meyer, he wrote a book called Setting the Table. He's also one of the most well-known restaurateurs in New York and the CEO of Shake Shack.
Oh, nice.
Shake Shack. So he's, gearing up his organization for hyper growth now as Shake Shack is just blowing up, right? But the big myth that he brought forward and he busted in his keynote was this notion that the customer is always right. How many times have we heard, the customer is always right? And, for me as a consultant, right, and helping to, help our clients see success, that notion is still always there. The customer is always right. And according to Danny Meyer, that is absolutely incorrect, because the customer is human, and no human
Right.
being is always right.
Right.
Right. So as a seller, right, as a company, as we're working with our customers, and for everybody out there, as you're working with your customers, realize that the customer is not always right. What we do need to do is make sure the customer feels like they're heard, the customer feels respected, and the customer feels like you have their best interests at heart. Right? If
Right.
we do those things, regardless of whether they're right or not, we can help the customer win at the end of the day.
Yeah, the customer's not always right. So true. And these things tie together. I really
Mhm.
feel like there's a connection here. Um, they're not in control. They shouldn't be in control. Why?
Right.
Because they're not always right.
Right.
And I think about how we try to tell the companies we work with, like, hey, you've got expertise you don't even realize because
Mhm.
you work with all of these companies in the same category. Whereas if you're in a company in that category, you're you, right? And you may know your competitors a little bit, but not nearly as much as the people that work with all of them. So
Exactly.
you're working with
Exactly.
all these different groups. You know so much about that industry. You can.
Hmm.
It's like leadership there, right? And so you have some knowledge. You need to take charge. You don't like. It's like, how bad would that be to know something and then just not do anything about it? Like, let your client. I don't like mountain metaphors, right? They're just, hey, there's a mountain. Go at it. There's some glaciers, but you'll be fine. I think.
Yeah.
They're
Good luck.
wearing like jeans and running shoes, and they've got a snow shovel. Apparently, someone tried to climb Rainier a long time ago with rubber boots, jeans, and like a snow shovel as like an ice axe. Is like the worst idea ever.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would end well.
No, I don't think it did. I think we're still looking for those people.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, so they're not. So it's almost like they're not right. They don't know. But I love how you said they need to be heard, they need to be respected, and then also best interest. Break those down for me. So what does it take to feel heard, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as again, whether we're within a sales function or marketing function, within my world, I lump it all together in this world of
Sure.
demand generation, right?
Totally.
Uh, but we have to listen first, right? I mean,
Listen
how
first.
many times have we experienced that kind of snake oil salesman type mentality,
Ugh.
where somebody comes on and they're just pushing product, or they're pushing whatever it is that they're selling.
Ugh.
You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't work, and in today's society, buyers you hate that, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work, right? So we need to listen first, right? Make sure that we understand the world that our buyer listens, or our buyer lives in, right?
Right.
Make sure we understand their scenario, their needs and wants, their pains. That way we can articulate the best possible approach for them and the best possible product for them going forward.
Yeah, it's the people, and it's like we can sniff them out,
Oh, yeah.
pretty much anyone doing anything with SEO, except for maybe Jason McDonald. Jason's safe. He's a good guy. But everyone else, you can chuck them all out. All snake oil salespeople. And then everyone who sends you a note on LinkedIn, right? This person, they're in
Oh, man.
marketing. Oh, that's pretty cool. But if they say biz dev in their category, you're like, nope. No, I know
I
what you
know.
do. You're just
It's,
trying,
man,
and they auto
they're just
send
coming
you
out of
that
the woodwork
message,
this
man.
year. I know it's coming out of the woodwork this year, and
Really
it's
is.
everywhere. It's mind blowing. But yeah,
It's like, people, that's like the worst experience ever.
I know.
Tricked ya. Hey, here's my message. It's like long, and they're not listening first, to your point. So
No,
I know they don't know. I know they
right,
don't know.
right.
So okay, be heard. What about respected?
Hmm.
How do we show that? Because I mean, great idea.
Yeah, a great salesperson and a great marketer has great empathy, right?
Okay.
So we truly have to put yourself in your buyer's shoes, right? Understand what it is that what they're going through, and respect that, right? They have real problems. Unless you feel those problems as they do, and respect those problems and respect the environment that they're living in,
Right.
you're never really going to connect with them on that personal level, and you're never going to be able to really solve their problem for them, right? So that notion of being empathetic to your buyer and respecting their scenario, respecting them as a person is huge in order to successfully um, you know close some business and build a relationship there.
Yeah. Yeah. There was that video on empathy and sympathy.
Mm.
trying to remember who came up with that one. Did you ever see that?
I don't think I saw that one. No.
Oh, Brene Brown. She's getting really
Okay.
popular right now.
Huh.
So
That's a
Brene
little bit I don't know.
Brown
Yeah.
on YouTube has a video on empathy. It's like a cartoon. It's interesting, but apparently they're giving her a TV show on Netflix. I don't know what's the deal with that, but
Hmm.
um, I should probably read some of her books too. But this video basically talks about empathy versus sympathy. I had no idea prior to watching this cartoon, but it was um, like, okay, so someone you know is in a hole, and they're like, I'm in a hole, help. And sympathy is like you look down into the hole and you're like, hey, um, you're like, that stinks. Don't worry, it's not too deep, you know. And then uh, empathy was like you get in the hole with them, so you're both
Mhm.
in the hole, and you're like looking around, you're like, man, this isn't cool. This
Right.
really blows down here.
Yeah.
Is that difference of like being in there with them, or just like
Mhm.
sort of being this like observer? And it's like how many times we do that in marketing too. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, IT person, I'm so sorry. You know, you're having a rough go. You know, we have no idea what
Mhm.
they're actually feeling. Versus,
Right.
oh man, I've been there, or I've talked to people that've been there, and I know
Right.
like that's the worst thing ever. We'd love to help you with that. You know?
Right. Or sales. Right.
Oh yeah.
Man, it's I hear you that these leads aren't the best, but I put all this work into it, right? I'm driving these leads, but these leads aren't good. They're not converting. Well, but I put all the work into it, right? It's
Oh yeah, like the
you know,
alignment side,
oh man, yeah,
having empathy for sales.
absolutely, and
What an
vice versa.
interesting idea.
Yeah.
I could see marketers getting their hands around that too, because
Oh,
we may say we don't like sales, but in the end, we're all kind of Care Bears at heart.
yeah.
Except for those SEO people, they're not. But but yeah, so like have empathy for sales. So when you send over the lead and they're not working, like understand what that means. But I guess it can be hard to understand what that means if you haven't been in the hole too. Like I've done some
Right.
sales work myself, and it's
Right.
like eye opening, and you have a better appreciation for sales and marketing and that whole team, like you're talking about.
Yeah. And we're going on a little bit of a tangent here, but I mean,
Tangent. That's
I
what we
believe,
do, man. That's what we
yeah,
do.
right. See, I believe that the best marketers have been salespeople at one point,
Yeah. Amen
right?
to that. Seeing
I
how
mean,
I fit that category, so I'm all for that.
I know, I'm in there with you, right? But I mean, it's at the end of the day, what's the goal of marketing,
Right.
right? I mean,
So
yes, there's a brand component, but at the end of the day, we're trying to drive business just as sales is, but we're just going at it a little differently, a little different, part of the process. Um, and so the best marketers kind of have that sales drive, and they leverage the marketing tactics to make it happen.
that's a quote right there.
Yeah.
That was a quote. The best marketers use that sales mentality, but use the technology. I'm gonna have to go look that one up. That was really good, man. I'm not even
I
gonna
just
ask you
came
to
up
say it
with
again.
that today, so I
You
mean,
did,
hey,
man.
there we go.
It's still the morning too. That was legit. Now,
Yeah.
what sale did you do? Did you did some sale? Or you're doing it now, obviously, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been in sales in some capacity. I
Sure.
was an account manager at my previous company for a while before I started the marketing automation practice there.
Oh wow, that's true.
And
Yep.
the reason that we started the marketing automation practice and the vision that I had for marketing automation was that marketing automation could drive more sales. And
Right.
I think that was the whole idea, that was the whole concept, and I still believe that that's true. I know that it's true. We've made it happen. We've done it.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me, they go hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure, and it's almost like a good tangent or good segue to marketing automation. So, yeah, I remember fondly back in the day, the original, preferred implementation partners. We used to get different names too. They would change it every couple weeks. Hey, you're the preferred partner this week, and now
Yep.
you're the diamond, executive platinum partner this week, and it was fun. I did have one partner call us. Oh, they're like, "What status are they with Salesforce?" They're like, "Oh, they're a diamond level partner that doesn't even exist."
Yes. What is that? Yeah.
I'm like, can I quote you and put that on our website? That's great.
Yeah. Right.
So, so yeah, you were over at Magnet, leading the charge, and man, you grew
Yeah.
that thing, amazingly well. What kind of wisdom and thoughts do you have in terms of like success with marketing automation? What kind of pitfalls did you see? Any myths
Yeah.
around this we need to smash?
For sure. And I think that there was this big notion, and we fell victim of it too. And this is part of my inspiration for InStereo and what we want to do for
Yeah.
our customers going forward. Is this idea that technology is solves all the problems. You know,
Yeah.
I and let me before I say what I'm about to say, let me say I'm a big Salesforce fan and use Salesforce for just about everything, right? But how often do we watch the latest Salesforce video, right? This new visionary concept of how this new product is going to transform our business, right? We've all seen them. Many of us have been to Dreamforce, and whether it's Salesforce or whether it's HubSpot or whether it's Marketo or whether it's um, you know whatever, right? We've all seen those videos. We've all seen the pitches. We've all been a part of it where we kind of get that story that plugging in this new solution, this new tool is going to be able to transform the business. And that is somewhat true.
Somewhat.
I think what we've seen over the years is that those that think that that is the answer, the technology is the answer that's going to change the way that they do business, um, are far less successful than those that take a step back and think about a strategic program and how the
Yeah.
technology fits into that program, right?
You got to take a pause, right? Just like take a tech pause and
yeah.
say, okay, if I'm going to do this, and usually it's a good idea, but there's a step before that. There's a step before.
There's a step before that. Yeah, you got to define the plan, right? You got to figure out what the strategy is.
Yeah.
Right? Who's the audience that we're trying to engage with? What's the result that we're trying to drive? What are we actually trying to accomplish, and how are we going to accomplish that over time? Do we have the right people in the right seats? Do we have the right skills in the organization? Do we have content? I mean, how often do we plug in a marketing automation tool and say, okay, great, so let's start going on some campaigns? Like, well, we don't have any content created yet. Great.
Right.
So I guess we'll just wait for that to be done then, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, thinking about all those different components, and then plugging that in, building out the plan for how it all comes together. The technology, the tool is just a means to execute upon all of those other
Right.
things.
Right.
Right. The technology isn't the answer. It's just kind of the piece of the puzzle that makes it happen, and that
Right. Right.
processes the automation, gets the messages out. But without a good message, without a good process, without people to drive the whole ship, it doesn't work.
It's so true. I've often said, technology makes things more, right? Or especially marketing
Yeah.
automation. It makes whatever you're doing now more. So
Right.
you got a great strategy. You can make that strategy touch that many more people, 1,000x more
Absolutely.
people. If you've got a bad strategy or no strategy, now you're going to have more people experiencing that, which is not what you want, right?
Exactly.
Or if you're not being empathetic, you're not listening, you're not respecting any of those things, and now you're being much more efficient at getting your horrible message in front of people.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh man, it's again, as consultants, I'm sure you've been there too, right? You get into this, a great organization, this amazing company who's gearing up for growth. We get these new systems in, they've got this great strategy. Then all of a sudden they start plugging this email content into the campaigns, and it's like a freaking essay, filled with bullet points and lists and numbers and links, and it's gonna break the news like, hey, nobody's gonna read that. That's not gonna work.
Yeah, I love your 9-part email series. We're gonna chop this thing up. You can't
Right.
have the whole thing, man.
Exactly.
I'm not sending it. You can't make me.
Right. Exactly. So it's having that plan, really having a deep understanding of the customer, of the audience, of what
Yes.
they need and what they want, and making sure you tailor your content, you tailor your approach to deliver value for that
Yeah.
customer. That at the end of the day, that's what's important. Right?
I love that. Tailor the approach to deliver value. That is
Mm-hmm.
so good. Because that's what it is in the end. You're delivering value, and
Absolutely.
you want it tailored to who you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of generic value for everyone, you're like, I know you want this. I know you need this. Like,
Right.
boom. Like, oh yes, thank you.
Exactly.
I was talking the other day with someone about like TV ads and internet. Even YouTube. I have definitely burned a few hours on YouTube in my time because there's
Just a few.
the recommendations, right? Like this and then this and then this. You're like, no, where'd that time go? I don't know what happened. So it's so advanced, but then you look at like television ads, not tailored, not specific, and then they're annoying. But when they're tailored, we actually kind of appreciate them. It's like, oh, cool. hiking boots. Sweet. Let me check these things out. Or,
Right.
don't mind it as much as some random drug commercial. Come on, guys. Pharma, get your act together. You got
Right.
money. Tailor those ads. Come on.
Seriously, farm is the worst, man. It's terrible. But I will say, and I don't know what's happened or what they're doing or how they get my data, but for some reason, every single commercial I see now has a baby in it.
Interesting.
And it could be coincidence, but I doubt it.
Have you Googled any stuff?
Not yet. Not yet. I've been a little busy
Bought
with
any books?
the baby. Yeah, but at some point I'm gonna need to talk to those TV ad people and see how they're doing it. I'm sure with DMP and all these other things, they're now making that connection. But
Well, you've been seeing them on TV?
oh yeah,
Oh, see, I think that's one of those things where you're just like spotting another Jeep on the highway kind of thing, because TV, even the interface to get to your on-demand show doesn't even it's like back in the 80s, I'm playing Atari. And there's no way they're actually figuring that stuff out. I think you're just noticing it. But
it
on the
could be.
internet, I would
It
believe
could
it.
be the
Like I
internet
could,
for sure.
yeah.
The internet for sure. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I have a hunch there's some DMP magic going on.
You think so?
Maybe. We'll see. I got to research it. I don't know. And on one of these next podcasts I got to watch, you got to get one of these TV ad execs on so we can get the answer.
Okay. Have them share their secrets.
Oh yeah.
We'll get some famous person on here. Actually, what you need someone like in IT down in the trenches, doing the API connections. He was like,
oh
oh yeah, we connected that like a decade ago. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, right.
I had no idea. But then it's like, well, why is it so bad? At least my Facebook ads are halfway decent, Like, oh,
right.
Here's this marine poster. Here's this like mountain climbing thing or epic wall art. Like, oh, cool. Okay, I can deal with that. But the TV commercials, man, especially when you're watching these shows and what I tend to do is I'm like, okay, whatever audience, I tend to watch like weird shows, and then especially with the missus, we'll sit down and be watching something, and when a weird commercial comes on, we're like, oh man, we share the same segment with these people.
Yeah.
Like it's something horrible you'd never do, or it's I don't know, it's some crazy ad. You're like, I would never get that, but apparently we share the same interest with these people because they probably targeted this show.
Yeah, I had another tangent here, but I had an interesting experience. As you mentioned, we had a baby recently.
Yeah.
So we were at the hospital overnight.
Yep.
And had my first glimpse at late night infomercials.
Oh no.
Man, are those bad?
Are they?
And and disgusting, and just let's just call them not PG-13. What would you say? Where I'm watching a channel with something going on and share it with.
What kind of a product was it? Do you remember?
Adult toys.
Really? In the hospital?
Yeah.
On TV?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently I slept through it, but my wife,
I don't think I've ever seen a commercial
apparently
for that.
caught the whole thing. Me neither, but apparently that's what's going on now. Anyways, we're getting way off topic, but
well, this is the hardcore marketing show, people. So.
Yeah, right.
Spelled differently, but
exactly.
Wow, like what channel is that even?
I think it was like Comedy Central or something.
No way.
Yeah.
Comedy Central
in a hospital.
Getting dirty. Jeez.
Yeah, who knew?
Jeez, well, hey, let me pause this podcast. I'm gonna go watch the TV. Oh, that's crazy, man. So
yeah. Yeah. Who knew?
Yeah. Who knew? Did you get your one meal when you're in the hospital?
Yeah, we did.
Mom gets to eat every meal, every course, and like, Dad, you get one dad meal. Like, okay.
Yeah, I got a breakfast that I had to pay for. So that was.
You had to pay for it? You're supposed to get like a dad meal for free or something.
I don't know. We got food delivered in, so I think I preferred the food we had delivered to the free hospital meal anyway. But
so you're saying you had like real food delivered?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not like the hospital food delivered. See, I was trying to game the system because it was like, okay, what does she want for breakfast? And I'd say, well, she's really hungry today, so she's gonna. But do you want cereal? She's gonna do the cereal and the eggs. And the donut and the and the that. And you know what? They don't listen to
everything you got.
They don't listen to you. They just bring like, I don't know if they're measuring it to like caloric intake or something, but they don't bring you all the things. They just bring you like one of each. category. Like, you must know. They must know the
Yeah.
game. Like, is
Not
the
the
guy
first one, but
calling? Okay, don't give him
yeah,
any of that food. Yeah.
right. Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully the good friends will deliver Dunkin', or other things to the hospital. And that's
My sister did bring me some munchkins. I was very
oh,
thankful.
there you go. There you go. Did you do the whole snuggle with baby on bed kind of thing? And
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
nothing like it, man. It's good
Yeah.
stuff.
It was. It was. Uh,
So okay, so I mean, I love these tangents. By the way, it sounds like you can roll with them too. So this is good.
oh yeah.
So where were we? We were just smashing that tech doesn't solve the problems; it just amplifies. So we hit that. We talked strategy first. What else? What else makes you successful with marketing automation?
Yes, having a sound strategy, understanding the customer,
Yeah.
understanding their ideal buyer journey,
Yeah.
right? Understanding the opportunities that you have as a company to ease their path along their
Yep.
buying
And
journey.
again, back to your myth from the very
You
beginning.
got it.
You're like, don't. They're not in control. You're in control. Now you can give them options like you know, click your own adventure type
You
journey,
got it.
but you're in these paths here, people.
Exactly. Exactly. Once you understand the strategy, you've got the vision for how you engage with the customer, then you got to get a tech platform, right? And a data platform that
Hmm.
allows you to execute on that strategy, right? Um, and make sure that that tech platform is one that fits the business, right? So don't go, buying a Ferrari if you don't know how to drive stick, right? You're still going to get to the destination faster if you just pick up that Camry and go, right?
Right. Right. Or if you're a gigantic company, don't be going buying HubSpot.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Get the right tool that fits the needs of the business,
Yeah.
and more importantly, that fits the needs of the users within the business.
Right.
Right? Because that's another thing that I'm sure you've experienced as well. It's how often does an organization buy a tool, but it's too complex or not complex enough for the users that need to drive it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Right? I
Eloqua.
mean, yeah, absolutely.
The worst experience I had with that was when I was talking to this nonprofit, and they were going to buy, they're going to get Pardot and some Salesforce stuff on discount. I like that they do that, but then someone on their board was like a CEO at a big company, and he's like, "Well, we have Eloqua, so you guys should get Eloqua too." And it was
Yeah,
like the worst that you're saddling. To your point, think about the user. You're saddling in almost like a volunteer at a nonprofit with something like Eloqua. It's hard to even saddle a paid team with that kind of a
yeah.
hefty tool unless you are that larger enterprise. So it's like, consider who's using it.
Exactly, right? I mean, I've seen Eloqua done well, right? Big enterprise companies, tons of users, tons of operation folks, tons of
Yeah.
technical resources, and they need that because of all the organizational complexities.
Right. And then it lets you
But
do
for a
whatever you want at that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but for a smaller firm or even a bigger firm who has more basic needs, more streamlined process, man, you can get so far with a simpler tool, right? A
Right.
simpler, powerful tool like Pardot and
Yeah.
others, right? Um, but yeah, so technology is kind of the second piece of the puzzle,
Sure.
right? I was talking about how the technology needs to fit the needs of the users, right? So people's next, right? Do we have the right people in
Yeah.
the right seats with the right skills to drive these programs and successfully execute,
Yeah.
right? We can talk about, well, a number of companies say, well, yeah, I've got an agency who takes care of that, or I have a vendor who outsources that. Great, but in my experience, the companies that have some sort of internal leader who's driving it forward are far more successful than those who outsource,
I think
right?
you need both, right? Well,
Yeah,
you don't need both technically, but that's like one of
no,
the ideal situations, right? If you
absolutely. The ideal situation is
yeah,
somebody internal who drives it, right? Who gets it,
yeah,
who owns the strategy, who owns the vision and can execute. And then a third party, right? Who helps to keep them thinking about the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and
right.
upskilling the team and,
And
and,
is
and
working with like
moving forward.
multiple organizations, seeing who's doing it right, who's doing it wrong.
Exactly.
And they're like, that path? Oh yeah, we've already had 8 people go, don't do that.
Right.
You don't want to know the results. Go this way instead. And
Right. Or
kind of
that was the big trend last year, but people have caught on.
right,
Right. Here's
right,
the new thing you got to do that's new and fresh and exciting that will
right.
capture people's attention. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So people's the next thing, right? I've got a client of mine who is looking to, totally redo their marketing automation program.
Oh, wow.
We just did some strategy work for them, and now they're ready to move forward and stand up some tools. And I basically told them, can't wait to help you with that. Hire your internal resource first.
Oh, okay.
You've got nobody internally to drive this. Yes, you can outsource a bunch of it, but my recommendation, hire somebody internal first. They're going to spearhead this, and then we will partner with that new resource, and they will ride shotgun with us
Yeah.
as we, one, stand up the technology, but also architect the process, get the right people trained up, get all the programs going, and then that person can take ownership of it. And we've got that partnership where we can help them drive it forward over time, right? But if they
Right.
outsource everything from the beginning, it's going to be hard for whoever they bring in to really take ownership and carry it forward, right?
Yeah. Everything in moderation, right? Including moderation.
Yeah. For sure.
I once worked with a company that many moons ago, I think we were actually doing some SEO work with them. So this is like ancient days. But they outsourced everything in their marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And one day the CEO walked through the office and asked, "Hey, what's our strategy on X, Y, and Z?" No one knew, because
Yeah.
not only had they outsourced all of their marketing, but the only people that knew were their vendors.
Right.
And that ended.
Yeah, right. I bet.
Basically, they got rid of every vendor and they replaced them all with internal people. Probably a little bit too harsh of a move, but the point was made. Like, we need to know what's going on here in our
Yep.
own company. So I like that you bring up the idea of having the internal person. You're riding shotgun with them, helping them architect everything.
Mm-hmm.
You even said hire that person first. That's
I
pretty
did.
selfless of you to do. A lot of people might go for the sale at that point.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to this idea that, we're in the business to make our clients successful, right? And having been through situations where we're executing against a statement of work because
Yeah.
that's what was sold and that's what was agreed on, regardless of whether or not it's the right thing, right? For our new company, for InStereo, right, everything that we do is done to ensure that our clients are
Yeah.
successful.
What are you
That
doing? Like,
means,
tell me about that. You left Magnet, said peace,
yeah.
and now you're starting this new thing. What are you doing in this area?
Yeah, for sure. So it nothing against my last company. They're doing some amazing
Yeah, of
things. They're
course.
going to be ahead of the curve. They're doing some amazing things that I
Okay, I'll take
struggle
them
to
out
wrap
for
my
you.
head around. Yeah, right. No, but I mean they're doing things that are very tech focused, right? And I
Right,
think
right, right,
what I see is a lot of opportunity surrounding technology. Right, the technology is the enabler, but let's focus on some of these other things, right?
right,
So what we do at InStereo is we do everything to help our clients create an amazing customer experience that at the end of the day drives revenue.
right,
Right, so that starts with strategy. So understanding, our customers, right? Who's their ICP? What are their buyer personas? What are those ideal best case buyer journeys? What's the content strategy mapped back to those buyer journeys so we can provide value and provide great experiences throughout that
right.
process? And then we help them to execute, right? And we help them to execute that through a combination of services around marketing automation, around sales engagement, around CRM, and content strategy.
Cool. And
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah.
So the full pack is not just the tech package or the net. I'd say narrow focus on just technology. You need to look at the whole picture, the whole buyer's journey, the whole kit and caboodle.
Exactly. And by not necessarily being tied down to any one methodology or any one system or any one technology, right? We really have kind of the freedom to recommend what's right, to do
Right,
what's right.
right. You're not
If
like,
the
oh,
right thing, and the
yeah,
example we were talking about is, what? Let's hold off for a month before you sign on with us. Let's let you get your house in order first, so we can
yeah.
make sure that you're successful. We're going to do that, right? It's all about what's best for our customer and making sure that they're successful.
And I think that has to be what we do, right? That should be more of the norm, And I think if there's
It
a
should be.
trend we could create, it would be more of that, more
Absolutely.
of that kind of selfless thinking about them as opposed to, them being numbers on a column in our system.
Hmm.
Trends. We mentioned trends earlier, like, oh, this trend was like a flash in the pan. It was here last year. Don't worry
Yeah.
about doing it this year. Being able to advise clients about that. Have you seen trends lately? Any come to mind? Any good ones, or any ones that you're kind of like so on?
Um, can I say emojis and emails?
Yeah, tell me what's the deal.
No, I say it almost as a joke, but I mean it
Is
seems
it?
to work.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean the
I don't
data
even know.
shows
I mean, I'm just kind of like, hey, whatever you say, I'm writing it down.
I mean emojis tend to be working, so apparently keep sending those emojis as long as they're the right ones, I guess. I'm not necessarily from a buyer perspective the type of person who prefers something with an emoji in it, but I've had a number of customers who are running those A/B tests, and those emails with emojis are the ones that are getting those higher open and click rates. So it's interesting. I feel like that's going to be one of those trends that may die off. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it'll get abused real
Oh yeah.
quick, and
Oh
then
yeah.
you'll see subject lines with those stupid things, and then you're like, ah, come on. I've been smiling in my emails for like decades. Not the full on emoji, just little like colon and
Oh
parentheses.
yeah, for sure.
I think done right, it kind of makes things more authentic and personal. But I think naturally the trend is, don't listen to something on a podcast and then go and like abuse the hell out of it, right? And
Yeah,
send some fake corporate email with a smiley in it. But I think if you make it a personal email, it's short, sweet.
totally.
You're super authentic, carrot scale, if you will, with an emoji.
Absolutely.
That I could see that working out really well. It just looks super authentic.
Absolutely. Yeah. So another trend that I see
Yeah,
is this category of sales engagement. I think that sales engagement today as a category is what marketing automation was a few years back. Um,
interesting.
and essentially, I mean, you take a look at some of these tools that are leading the charge, like SalesLoft and Outreach
Right.
and others. Um, it's almost like, what if marketing automation was just completely reimagined, but instead of built for marketing, built for sales, right? It's a really, really interesting solution.
How does that work? Because isn't it kind of like a duplication of efforts to have
Yeah,
automation on both sides and then
no,
no?
it,
Tell
it,
me.
it shouldn't be.
Preach.
Actually, that there's another myth that we're busting
Yeah.
pretty often in our work is that that sales engagement and marketing automation as tool sets you know have too much overlap and they can't coexist, right? And the reality is they should coexist, right? For an organization in the B2B space who's gearing up for growth,
Interesting.
right? So marketing automation does a great job of kind of that mass email or mass message type solution. You can build all sorts of and or logic to get the right
Right.
message to the right person at the right time, right? But again, it's still typically an HTML structured
Right.
email. You can work in some plain text, and data shows that plain text works in those situations when
Definitely.
it's applicable. But most of the time, it's a marketing message versus sales engagement. It allows for the plain text email. It allows for the calling. It allows for the social outreach. There is some overlap. The big difference is that sales engagement, it's an authentic, one-to-one, personalized message from
Hmm.
somebody who should own the relationship. Right. And as a buyer, I think about us as consumers and of buyers of goods and services in our businesses, right? When you're getting a marketing message, and when somebody is individually reaching out,
Yeah.
right? It's a different feeling, right? It's a
Yeah.
different reaction that we have to those messages. And so we need to use marketing automation for those mass messages that are the marketing, business oriented messages, and sales engagement to help streamline kind of the sales reps outreach for their
Interesting.
personalized one-to-one communication. And based on where somebody is in the funnel, where a buyer is in their journey, there's a place and a time for both.
Hmm.
Right? It's architecting that program around what's the right message and the right forum at the right time for that buyer allows us to determine, is this a sales message, or is this a company-driven marketing message?
Right. And almost, as you're saying that, you're like, of course, the technology, like we're just saying, is that last part of the puzzle, right? The
Right?
strategy needs to come first. You need to map out that journey, and when you
You
do
got
that,
it.
you're not gonna. Even if there is overlap, you're cool with it because you've mapped it out and you're clear on what needs to happen. So then you can drop tools in to help with certain situations. You know.
You got it. You
Yeah.
got it.
So again,
Yeah.
it's almost like not, just reminding ourselves not to just knee jerk right to the tech side, as much
Right.
as the tech vendors would want us to, but
Right.
knee jerk to the strategy side first, map out that journey,
Exactly.
hit a process,
Exactly.
then technology.
Right. Yeah, and you can't do it without the technology, right? But you also can't
True.
be
True,
successful in
true.
the technology without the strategy, right? They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So we always like to start with the strategy first, or in the instances where somebody, a customer has bought on with the tech, um, you know, let's get them going with the tech, and then
Yeah.
let's take a step back and get that strategic plan done so they can take the tech to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. And chicken and egg, it really just hits
You got it.
strategy wherever you're at, whether you have something or don't have something. All signs point to strategy first.
Yep, you got it.
Cool, man.
Yep, and the important thing again, and kind of back to our theme for today, right? And it's not a marketing strategy, it's not a sales strategy, it's both,
Right.
right? It's the strategy for engaging with our customers throughout their journey, right? And that's inclusive of everything marketing and everything sales.
Yeah, totally. It's that revenue journey or whatever you want to call it. It's just
You
that
got
it's a
it.
solid
You got
team.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Well, this is cool, man. Who are you? Where did you come from? How did you? I mean, you rose to the
I still
ranks,
don't know.
practice lead, entrepreneur. Dad now. Take us back.
Yeah,
Little Adam.
yeah, man. Little Adam, man. I was a little terror, man.
Were you?
I'm scared because if there's anything of me and in my kid, I'm
It's
totally
coming,
screwed as
man.
a
It's
parent.
coming.
Oh yeah, it's coming. Yeah, no, going back, I think that I was very fortunate growing up to be living in a great area, surrounded by amazing people. That being said, I went through some hardships when I was younger. Um, in a number of different ways. My dad, when I was a kid, was hooked on drugs,
Really?
which left quite a interesting experience to be had throughout my childhood.
Were you
Uh,
aware of it? Thinking back, were you aware that what was actually going on, or was it just?
yeah, I was after a while.
Yeah.
I think it became very clear once I was a teenager. I knew what was going on, but
Right.
earlier than that, you
Super
couldn't be too
confusing.
sure.
Like, why is this not making sense? Yeah.
Yeah, and so going through all of that, being a good student and being a good athlete, as a kid, having great friends, then going home to that situation was always hard,
Oh
right?
yeah.
When I was 15, he just up and left.
Really?
Just kind of deserted my
Jeez.
mom, my sisters, and I. Left our family in a ton of debt that we didn't realize he was racking up. And so we
Man.
were left there
Yeah.
basically broke, not just broke, but owing a ton of money because he had racked up so much debt that my mom's name carried as well. So we had to sell our house. We were like a week away from being homeless when my
Jeez.
grandma sold her house and bought a place big enough for all of us to move in. When I was 15, uh, within our school district, so we didn't have to move. So she kind of swooped in and saved the day and
Wow. Thanks,
kept all
Grandma.
of us,
Yeah.
oh yeah, kept all of us doing what we're doing, same school district, keep everything as normal as we could. And so she bought this townhome, and we all kind of moved in there. So there was, what was it, five of us crammed into a 3-bedroom townhome.
Wow.
So basement was mine, and that was a great setup.
Yeah.
As a teenager, I got the basement, and man, that was my friends appreciated
They could just
that.
leave you alone.
Oh yeah. So yes, I would say that that experience, as a kid, as growing up, I always kind of you know had to grow up faster than I needed to,
Right.
if that made sense, and I had to
Yeah.
kind of take on a leadership role, to kind of figure everything out and kind of lead my sisters through things and help my mom through things. Back
Right.
when I was 15 and 16, I remember I had to make the most adult decision that I had to make when I was, I think it was 16, and that was either I can play varsity football or I can have a job, right?
Oh
And what was
no.
I going to do? Because I had been playing football since I was in 5th grade, and at the end of the day, I had to make that adult call to say, you know what, my family's broke. I want to live as much of a normal life as I can. I'm going to go get a job, right? And I'm going to work that
Wow.
job, and I'm going to make some money so I can, save up for college, and I can try to live normally as best that I could. And so, that was a really, really tough adult decision that I had to make as a teenager. And ever since then, I think I've, you know, probably been adulting faster than I should have been.
Yeah.
moved up to Minnesota for college, got hooked up in
How,
college.
how do you think you made
Yeah.
that call? Like, because it's not like you necessarily had all the examples to, or maybe with your grandmother and your mom. I mean, so obviously something was in you to make that call and not be selfish in the moment. I mean, I don't know if I would even
Which
make that call, especially if I get on the
which
varsity team.
call the
To
to get a
like,
job call?
yeah, versus football.
Yeah, and
You've been
it
playing it
what
for
it
like
came
for your whole life, right? You've been.
I had, and what it came down to is, as a kid, I was a football player and I was a lacrosse player,
Okay.
and I knew that I can do one of them.
Okay.
Both,
You had
even though I wanted
options.
to, but I had options, so I stuck with lacrosse, gave up on football, and it still bums me. I always wonder what if, you know,
Right. Were you
uh,
good?
you know, I was little, but I was good. I was good enough. I wasn't an all-star, but
How
I
like
would
little
play.
like height wise?
Yeah, man, it was
How
uh, it
tall
was
are
it
you
was funny. Right now I'm 5'11". I'm average
right
size
now?
right now, but I remember I was in sixth grade playing in a football league that was sixth to eighth grade,
Okay.
and I was the smallest kid in the league by like 20
In the
pounds
league, the whole
in
league.
the entire league by like
How do
20
they tell you that? They measured everybody and they're like,
Yeah, well, I'd have the parents that would like, are you okay? Like, are you
oh
like
no.
looking out for me to make sure I wouldn't get
Yeah.
hurt as I'm running around with these kids that were twice my size. But yeah, so it was an interesting time.
Was it like Rudy? Were you like, have you seen that movie with the football player
Yeah,
Rudy?
yeah,
Yeah, was that like you?
yeah.
Just
It was
put me in,
maybe a
coach.
little bit, little bit. I
Had
think the
more
coach
skills
was
though.
scared. Yeah, the coach was scared for me too back then. But eventually, I grew. And
Right.
I was doing just fine by the time I was older and a leader on the team and whatnot. But getting started was. I think everybody was fearing that that I wouldn't come out alive.
Yeah. Did you ever break anything?
No, I never
Oh,
broke anything in football. I broke a bone playing lacrosse, and I
interesting.
was a freshman in high school, and the biggest senior came in and just clobbered me, and I went flying
Wow.
and just kind of fell backwards and caught myself on the ground and broke two bones in my wrist. That was
Jeez.
my only sports injury of any seriousness, but
Wow. So
that was it. Yeah.
did you get it when you gave up football? Did you at least keep lacrosse?
I kept lacrosse. I
Okay,
figured I'd
good.
double down on that. My job, I was, it was weird. My first sales job was being a blue shirt at Best Buy. So
Really?
we've all been to Best Buy. I was one of those guys. I was selling like right oh my God, I'm forgetting what they're called. iPods. I was selling iPods, like
Yeah, the
first
the
gen
little
iPods.
rotary thing, the little circle you could rotate.
Yeah, yeah, and cell phones, right? As cell phones were still like bricks, I was selling cell phones, and then I was selling TVs, and I was good at it, right? I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved the tech. I loved sales. I loved working with customers. I loved everything about it. So I wanted to make sure that I can keep that job going, keep learning about technology, keep coming up with or helping people to buy kind of the latest and greatest stuff, and
Right. But that's where
so
you
I was
got your
able to keep
sales.
that
That's where
job.
you got your that experience. That's cool.
Man, Best Buy taught me a lot about sales when I was in high school. It's
Yeah.
it's it's funny to think back, but all about building rapport, understanding what the customer wants before you even talk about product, having a good conversation, right? What it is that they care about, what do they want, then you recommend something based on what they're looking for. Um, so it was interesting. It was
Yeah.
interesting, and I'm glad I did that. I'm glad that I stuck it out. I regret leaving football. Glad I stuck with lacrosse, was able to coach and work with kids and continue playing lacrosse up until about a year ago. So it all
Like
worked
a
out.
year ago to like now?
Yeah, yeah. I
Wow,
was I was
man.
playing at a
This
men's
is
league
really
until I
good.
was
Decades of
yeah I was
experience.
yeah it's a fun game. It's a lot of fun, and someday I'll coach again.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm throwing in the towel for playing. I feel like at this point I'm so out of shape because I'm not getting in the gym as much as I used to. I'm gonna like throw out a hip or like bust out a knee. I'm gonna have some old man injury. So let's just
Yes.
avoid that before it
Yeah.
comes.
Yeah. Well, now you get that kid, you got to watch out for the dad bod.
Exactly, exactly. Got to work on that dad bod. It's a work in progress.
Absolutely. So, okay. So blue shirt makes me think of like Star Trek, like, oh, red shirt. You were blue shirt at Best Buy. And then
Yeah, man. I
went to school. What'd you
went up to Minnesota. Yeah, went up to University of Minnesota. Had just about every major you can have. So I thought I was going to do finance and accounting. Went to my first interview with an investment bank and walked right out of that interview and saying, I'm going to change majors. I was good at it. I was good with numbers. I was good at finance. And then I went into this interview and I'm having a conversation like this, right? Trying to be, personable, trying to laugh, trying to crack jokes, trying to, talk. And, I got this woman in a suit across the table from me, just, serious face, not cracking a smile,
Really?
not having a real conversation. And I was like, all right, this is not for me.
Like no
I
sense
realize
of
this
humor
is an interview,
whatsoever.
but if I can't, talk to the person on the other side, I
Wow.
wasn't going to be doing it. So I switched over to marketing, realized the marketing wasn't enough. So I was an entrepreneurship and marketing double major.
Oh,
Got
cool.
hooked up through the entrepreneurship program at my university with this crazy company. There was a digital agency at the time called Magnet 360. And at that time, there were 7 people. And I got to start there as an
Oh,
intern.
geez.
And
7
so when I
people.
started there were 8 of us. When I left, there was about 450. So
Dang.
my experience kind of jumping in the early days there, having a multitude of roles, wearing many hats, up to building and the marketing automation practice and beyond, was an amazing experience. And so now I'm fortunate enough I get to take all of those learnings, all of those experiences, working with the great customers I'd worked with over that time, and kind of come up with a new way, a better way, um, and that's what we're doing with InStereo.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
The experience of starting as an intern at a small company and then growing with it, it's got to be like you must have learned many, many things. Yeah, if you were to give yourself career advice, you know, not little Adam, but maybe like, fresh out of school Adam, going into
Yeah.
Magnet, what would you tell yourself? Because somehow you navigated that and obviously, rose to being a practice lead.
Yeah, don't be afraid to try something new, right?
Mm,
Don't be afraid to go with your gut. Don't be afraid to fight for what's right. You know, uh, listen to everything happening around you, right?
right.
Because even the conversations happening in the hallway that are above your pay grade, you're going to learn something from them,
Yeah.
right? So I was fortunate enough. I, weaseled my way into every meeting that I could, whether I was going to add value in that meeting or not, just to sit there and listen, to talk, just to learn about what consulting was, how it happened, how to
Right.
talk to customers, how to create great recommendations, great deliverables, things like that,
Wow.
and just got to absorb it, right? And then got to put that in action, got to bring some new ideas forward. And the marketing automation practice there didn't start because that was some strategic initiative for the company. It started because I was selling and doing some marketing automation myself. And I said, we should build a practice around this. So I pitched
Wow.
that to the leadership of the company, said, listen, we can do this ourselves. We can do it better. And they said, well, if you can sell enough of it, then sure, you can go do that.
Wow.
And we did. We sold it, delivered it, sold enough of it to build a team. And, we became a big player in the space.
Grew from there. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think, you were probably the only player in the space or one of a couple. There's a handful of folks that
Yeah.
I genuinely respected because,
Yeah.
good work. And then obviously you're advocating for the customer and just really being selfless like that. There's a lot of folks out there that don't do that. And I always, was all mad at those people, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool to hear hear the story now from having seen you across the battlefield, doing your work.
Yeah.
It's cool to
I think there
understand
is a reason that most part out business in the early days either went to Cheshire or they went to my team.
that. There's
There are a
definitely a
few
reason.
companies that there are a few companies doing it right,
That's it.
and so I think we were both heading the charge and a new way of thinking, a new way of doing things, and so it's cool to see it all come full circle, and now we get to chat about it now.
Now we can chat about it now, like a bunch of old dudes rocking on the
Oh yeah,
porch.
oh yeah.
Remember the days? So
I remember the first, or no, maybe well, it was the first Pardot certification that I went to. I think it was the second one they had ever done,
yes,
and you and I went there together.
yes,
And
January
I remember
2013.
day 2. Remember day 2?
Not sure what happened day 2.
You came in halfway through because you were way too hungover from the night before.
Oh, do you remember what
We're
happened
real
after
geeky
that?
today.
You were playing
I,
trivia. Remember that?
yes, we were playing trivia. Yes,
I walk
yes.
in. feel a little, a little tired. And it's like, your turn, trivia. I walk up to the front, or I sort of float up to the front, and they read half the question. I hit the buzzer, answer it, turn around, walk back. I'm holding a cup the whole time of water.
Yep.
Answer it. They're like, we didn't even finish the question. They're like, yep, that's the answer.
I got it.
I got it. Still got it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. It was a
That
cool,
was a lot
it
of
was
fun.
a good time. But I also remember while we're there were some of the big vendors, some of our other competitors who were just saying like, I don't like these projects. We can't get our
Yeah.
$300 architect on it, and we can't do this, we can't do that, and just like, it was my first exposure to really, I guess, the other side of that more. You can get too, consulty, and
Too
the
too
person even
focused on
said,
their business.
I have a consultancy. And I was like, well, damn, whatever that means, I don't want it, because that doesn't sound good at all. It doesn't sound fun. It doesn't sound you're helping your customer. And this is gross and icky,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. And it was, man, there were probably 5 firms that were in that first training session.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 4 or 5 that were certified Pardot partners back in the early days, and only 2 continued.
Yeah.
More came in down the road, but it was cool that of the early partners,
That's
is
right.
your team and my team were the 2 that
Crushed everybody else.
endured.
I remember we used to have like a territory map, and I was like, territory map, please. I want everything.
I know. Yeah, and I remember we made a decision early on that we didn't want everything, and so I think that was an interesting choice for us.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to focus on the bigger stuff, right? We wanted to focus on the stuff that was more complex, that that weren't necessarily just tech implementations. We wanted to take the stuff where we could focus on process, and we could focus on customer journeys. We could do additional training, and so we were fortunate enough to take on some of those projects and some of those bigger Pardot deals, which were a lot of fun, and amazing customers, and amazing learning experience for us as we got to see how the big boys do it, how they should do it.
Yeah, for sure. Bigger deals, for sure. When did you make that call? It was like early on?
I would say after about a year. I think that after about a year, we decided that the quick start game, though fun and good business, we didn't want to keep playing it, right? And so just because of the trajectory of the bigger tech consulting firm that we were a part of, we wanted to mesh with some of the things that the team was doing more broadly, which meant that we couldn't take on some of those.
Totally. Yeah. I always respected that out of you. In your group was like, hey, we're going to go for these quality deals. And we were kind of like, we like those too. And we also like, I think, I came from just being like a solo marketer at a small company. And so something, the quick start thing is icky. I mean, we even made things above and beyond that just because that was never enough. There's things missing, and so we created things for that. But it's almost, I always had that heart for, or still do, that solo marketer, 90 hats on, trying to make it work, trying to help them out.
It's and frankly, I missed that over the last few years. I missed helping that marketer or helping that executive, whoever it may be. So it's so much fun to get back into that world and help these kind of high growth, smaller companies that can do crazy transformation. They can have a huge uptick in business just by implementing a few small tactics.
Right.
Being able to make that type of change as a vendor to them it's awesome. The bigger enterprise companies are a little bit slower moving. So I'm very excited and kind of refreshed to be still working with some of those bigger firms, but also that small, nimble marketer who can really change the game in a matter of months.
Yeah, the grass isn't always greener, you think about it, as you're talking about, the bigger companies. Sometimes I feel like you're punching jello, you're trying to get the next thing done, and great idea, wiggle, 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 and then nothing ever moves. And so you're really battling the politics, and so that can be its own challenge. Meanwhile, the smaller company, maybe you can make changes left and right, but then you don't have anyone to do it but you.
Exactly. And so, I mean, I empathize, with that marketing leader at the enterprise company, right? And you think about kind of the role of that marketing leader versus the role of a marketing leader at a smaller company or startup, right? marketing leader at the smaller company or startup can have a great new idea, right? I've got this awesome marketing automation program that's going to help our sales process and help everybody win. So they go have a conversation with the sales leader and they say, yep, let's go. And they go build it.
Yeah.
At the enterprise firm, I mean, how many conversations need to be had? How much internal approval, how much red tape just to make that same idea a reality? It just takes so much more time. And so you got to empathize with that, right? Because
Yeah.
again, we can help them,
Yeah.
right? We can help them make that happen. We can help them make it happen faster. But selfishly, also having been that nimble marketer at a small company, when you have the idea, you kind of just want to do
Yeah,
it.
totally. Totally. It's funny, the bigger companies, the challenges. I remember having a conversation with IT about those DNS text entries, those little tiny,
Yeah, yeah,
SPF, and marketing's like, woohoo, let's do this. And then IT's like, whoa, hold on, what is this thing? And they actually never done it before. But like a
yep,
big Fortune company had never dealt with text entries. And they're like, well, if we do this, we're going to have it starts something. But if we just ignore it, maybe it'll go away. And it's like, no, it won't go away. So having
right,
like a couple meetings, sort
yeah,
of supporting our marketing customer to advocate to their IT company or IT department about
yep,
some little technical change or challenge they had. It was crazy.
yeah, absolutely. And in the spirit of kind of the other big trend that I see, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a trend more so than it's just something that inevitably needs to happen, is again this idea of sales and marketing alignment,
Yeah.
right? And I think that sales and marketing leaders at smaller companies are fortunate because to create sales and marketing alignment, it's as simple as having a few meetings. Just go
Right.
talk to one another,
Yeah.
right?
A convo.
And yeah, and it's funny because as we're working with some of our customers doing some of the strategic planning type stuff before we get into implementing these programs, one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we get is, thank you for bringing everybody together. Both sides, sales and
Yes.
marketing, they want the same thing. They just don't realize it, right? They don't realize that they want the same end goal, but they just have different tactics, different ideas for achieving it. So by bringing everybody together and aligning on that, it unlocks so much potential. And for smaller firms, it's as simple as let's have a few meetings, let's duke it out, let's talk it
Yeah.
out, let's come up with a shared vision. Versus the larger companies, it's a lot more complicated than that, right? You've got
Totally.
processes that have been in place for years. You've got large teams working those processes. It's a huge change management issue on top of just a process evolution or a tech
Yeah.
change and everything else to create that sales and marketing alignment. Sometimes it's huge, organizational restructures that need to happen, right?
Right.
With compensation plans that need to change, et cetera, et cetera. So at the end of the day, sales and marketing alignment is something that is kind of mission critical and almost required in today's world in order to truly see the results of these types of programs. It just takes a little more time for our enterprise friends.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a battle, man. I guess, respect to both sides, both sizes.
Oh yeah,
They all have their unique challenges.
totally, totally.
Well, this is cool, man. So, you know, dadhood, how's it going? You're like two,
Yeah,
3 weeks in?
it's going great. I was kind of the mind that I wasn't ready to have a kid yet. My wife was, but then, we had the conversation. It was like, am I ever going to truly be ready?
hmm
No, I'm never going to be like, yeah, let's go do this. I'm totally ready to be a dad. Let's,
Yeah.
we know it's going to come. I know I want a kid. I want it to be happen, but I'm never going to feel ready.
Right.
Um, so, our little guy Dylan was born, I think 3 weeks ago now,
Wow.
and man, is it awesome. Um, you know, wouldn't change a thing. The little guy is great. Cleaned the biggest, dirtiest diaper I've cleaned to date this morning.
Oh
So that was a
no.
treat. But it's this dad thing is it's fantastic. I mean, it's better than I ever could have imagined.
That's awesome. You mentioned the diaper thing. I remember it was from not necessarily the quantity, but more just the smell. I remember taking like toilet pieces of um, wipes and then sticking them up my nose like I was CSI or something, like a cadaver scene or something, and just be like, oh, call in the CSI.
Yep.
been a murder down here.
Yeah, man, it's my our best story so far. Not to spoil the ending, but I call it the poop explosion.
Oh no.
Um,
This is what
there's a
happens when you
dirty
become a parent,
diaper.
right? That's what the
Oh
story's
yeah,
coming to.
yeah. There was a dirty diaper which I went to change, not realizing that yeah, he wasn't done doing his business yet. So I'm mid diaper change. To which point, I don't know how this kid's got the power that he's got. But man, it was like 4 feet of projection all over the wall, all
No.
over a bookshelf, all over my arm,
No.
all over everywhere. So it's like, okay, I guess I'm a dad now. Live through that.
Oh man. The war
Can't.
wounds.
Oh man, yeah, and I can't wait to tell his friends when he's a teenager. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. That's a great story. Great one to tell. Oh, that is legit. Well, it's fun, man. I think one of my friends too, it just found out she's gonna have a kid, and I sent her a text and I
Awesome.
said, look, you get scary stories from people, you get weird tales, but in the end, it's not so bad. It's actually awesome. I think a lot of
Oh
people
yeah.
like to tell the crazy stories, but really, it's just great. It's just a good time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I tell that crazy story, but I also don't say that my wife and I haven't laughed harder
Oh,
together
right, totally.
in months and months. Like we were rolling on the floor laughing, and I'm holding my arm up because I got my kid's business on there. But man, I couldn't come back to my senses for like 10 minutes after that happened because it was just
Yeah,
the
how can
funniest
you?
freaking thing we've ever. Yeah, it was. So I mean, it's we're having a blast. And even the hard things are just, I mean, so much fun. So
That's
it's
cool,
been
man.
it's been a fun few weeks.
That's cool. Well, you're way more coherent than I would have imagined. I don't remember 3 weeks. By the way, there's this thing where now at this stage, like how old your kid? You're like, oh, 3 weeks, and then it'll be 5 weeks, and it'll be 8 weeks. But then when it gets to about 12, or no, what is it, 52? When it gets to 52, just say a year. Oh, there's
Yeah,
something
right.
else. They keep going. They're like, oh, my kid's 68 weeks old. You're like, what's the math on that lady? He's like two
Stop. Like stop.
2 years old. Then they get into months. Oh, he's 11 months, or he's 15 months. So you're saying a year and 3 months. Metrics.
Metrics. Yeah, everybody's asking like, so how big was he? And baby sized.
Baby
He's
sized.
about the size of a baby. He looks like a baby. He acts like a baby. Mostly, he's still just a baby.
Yeah,
So
something
we'll go with that.
ounces, something pounds, and
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, thanks, man. I mean, this has been really cool. I've looked at the time and just sort of warped by, and it's been
Yeah.
fun.
It has been, it's been a blast. I mean, thank you for having me on. I mean, I've always respected everything that you guys have been doing. You guys are doing amazing things in the part out world, and it's fun to kind of come back after a few
Yeah.
years and powwow and kind of talk about where we're at and what we're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What are some good
And poop
links?
explosion.
And poop explosion. Should we make that the title of the episode? Do you think anyone would?
Yeah, I don't think people will click on that.
I don't
Yeah,
think they would. Or maybe
we can run a quick A/B test and see, but we probably won't get the audience we're looking for.
like marketing explosion, and they don't know till the end of the episode where it came from.
Yeah. Hey, maybe.
If you made it this far, that's why it's called that. Everyone's like, "Oh man, I gotta wash my hands now." So hey man, what are some good links? How to links for InStereo, connecting with you. What's good platforms for all that?
Yeah, for sure. Check out our website at instereo.io.
Okay.
Shoot me an email, adam.post@instereo.io. Find me on LinkedIn, Adam Post, co-founder of InStereo. Would love to have a conversation with anybody
Yeah.
who's willing.
Awesome. And don't be creepy and just send him a connection, because he doesn't know if you're one of those crazy biz dev people. So say something nice like, hey, I heard you on the
Yeah,
podcast.
I mean, I don't know what your position on this is, Casey, but I've been lately, I only necessarily accept LinkedIn connections from people who write a note explaining why they're connecting,
I like
unless I
that.
know them otherwise.
I like that.
But I mean, there's so many people that are trying to connect to sell you something, and they're trying to sell me something, and they've got a note explaining why it makes sense to connect. Great, happy to connect.
Right.
It's blind. I don't know.
Yeah, I will say though, the app doesn't give you the chance to write a note on every time you try to send a
Yeah.
thing. There's a couple of you
Yeah.
where you say, oh, it's sent. Oh, no message. What? and you're like, okay,
Right.
maybe they'll accept it as long as they don't block me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, personal note goes a long way. But hey, note or otherwise, happy to hear from anybody who wants to have a conversation.
Absolutely. Put some emoticons in that email too, and then send
Oh
it
yeah,
right over.
emoji it up. There may be one emoji in particular relevant to today's conversation that
Oh
may
no!
especially catch
Yes,
my eye. No.
bonus points if you send that. Bonus points on that one. That's incredible. Well, this has been great, man. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. We'll have to check in later and see how InStereo's doing. Maybe some customer stories and maybe some more poop stories later on. We'll have to just see what's up.
I'm. I'll tell the kid you said so.
Okay, good. Good. Like, come on, man, we need more stories for next time.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty. But awesome. Yeah, appreciate it. Again, thank you for having me. It's been a treat. So look forward to
Absolutely.
connecting soon.
Totally. And for everyone else listening, if you learned something on this, and I know you did because I've got pages of notes over here, then share this with someone. Get it to someone else's hands. All the talk about, the buyer not being in control versus control, and then that empathy and the sympathy, all those conversations. Get this in their hands so people can learn from this too, because we know this stuff, but it's better that we get everyone else to know this. So we kind of make our own trend here of doing the right kind of marketing. So that is it, guys. We will catch you all next time. This has been the Hardcore Marketing Show. Bye-bye.